Have you ever stood in a 2-hour line just to see the Eiffel Tower, or gotten pickpocketed in a crowded Roman piazza? What if I told you there are European cities with equally stunning architecture, richer history, and half the tourists, all while costing a fraction of the price? Today, we're exploring 7 hidden European gems that will make you rethink your entire travel bucket list. By the end of this video, you might just cancel your Paris trip and book a flight to places you've never even heard of. Trust me, number 4 on this list completely blew my mind when I first visited. And number 7 is so beautiful, it almost doesn't feel real. Let me start with a personal story. 3 years ago, I was planning my dream European vacation. Like most people, I had Paris and Rome at the top of my list. But then a friend told me something that changed everything. She said, forget the famous cities. Go where the locals go. Go where you can actually breathe and experience culture without fighting through crowds of tourists taking selfies. So I did, and what I discovered was life-changing. The cities I'm about to share with you gave me experiences I never could have had in the overcrowded tourist traps everyone talks about. Before we dive into the list, let me be clear about something. I'm not saying Paris and Rome are bad cities. They're incredible. But here's the reality. Paris gets over 30 million tourists every year. Rome gets around 10 million. When you visit these places, you're not experiencing the real Europe. You're experiencing a theme park version designed for tourists. The locals have mostly moved out of the city centres. The restaurants cater to visitors who'll never return. And the prices? Well, let's just say a coffee that costs €2 in a local spot will cost you €7 near the Eiffel Tower. The cities we're exploring today are different. These are places where real people still live, work, and thrive. Places where you can sit in a cafe and actually talk to locals. Places where your money goes 3 times further. Places where you won't spend half your vacation standing in lines. And most importantly, places that are just as beautiful, just as historic, and just as Instagram-worthy as any famous landmark you've seen 1,000 times on social media. So let's start our journey in Central Europe with a city that looks like it jumped straight out of a fairy tale. Number 7 on our list is Český Krumlov in the Czech Republic. Now, you might be thinking, I've never even heard of this place. And that's exactly the point. While everyone flocks to Prague, which is beautiful but becoming increasingly touristy, Český Krumlov remains this hidden treasure in the South Bohemian region. Picture this. You're walking through narrow cobblestone streets. Medieval buildings with painted facades tower above you. The Vltava River winds through the town like a snake, creating these perfect horseshoe bends that photographers dream about. And perched on a hill is the Český Krumlov Castle, one of the largest castle complexes in Central Europe. This isn't just one building. It's 40 buildings and palaces connected by corridors and courtyards, second only to Prague Castle in size. The entire old town is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but here's the crazy part. You can visit the castle, explore the Baroque theatre from 1768, walk through the castle gardens with their rotating auditorium, and wander through the streets without waiting in a single line. Inside the castle, you'll find the Castle Tower, which offers panoramic views of the terracotta rooftops below. The tower has a unique Renaissance gallery with a covered walkway that connects different parts of the castle complex. One of the most fascinating features is the Castle Museum and Tower, where you can see how nobility lived in different centuries. The Masquerade Hall has incredible ceiling frescoes depicting carnival scenes. Then there's the Castle Garden, a massive Baroque garden with a fountain, a cascade, and that famous rotating open-air theatre I mentioned. This theatre is still used for performances during summer, and watching a show here feels like stepping back in time. For the adventurous, you can go rafting or canoeing down the Vltava River. The river bends around the old town create these spectacular views from the water. Local companies rent canoes and kayaks for about €15 for a few hours. You paddle past medieval walls, under stone bridges, and through sections where the riverbanks are lined with weeping willows. It's one of those experiences where you're getting exercise, seeing the city from a unique angle, and having an adventure all at once. A nice dinner with drinks at restaurants like Krukmavies at Lavsko Laban costs around €15. You can try traditional Czech dishes like svačkova, which is marinated beef with cream sauce, and dumplings, or trudelník, the famous rolled pastry covered in cinnamon sugar. A beautiful hotel room at places like Hotel Rouge, which is actually a former Jesuit college from the 1500s, runs about €40 per night. Compare that to Paris, where you pay 3 times that amount for a cramped room in a questionable neighborhood.
But what really makes Český Krumlov special is the atmosphere. In the evening, when the day trippers leave, the town transforms. The castle lights up against the night sky, reflecting in the river below. Small jazz clubs like Jazz Cafe open their doors. You can hear live music drifting through the streets from venues like Pivovar Eggenberg, a brewery that's been making beer since 1336. Local families come out for evening walks along Later End Street, the main thoroughfare connecting the old town to the castle. You're not watching a performance of European culture, you're actually living it. And if you're into photography, the views from the castle gardens at sunset, particularly from the Belvedere area, will give you shots that'll make your friends think you hired a professional photographer. Now let's head north to the Baltic region for number 6 on our list. Tallinn, Estonia. This is where medieval history meets modern technology in the most unexpected way. Estonia is one of the most digitally advanced countries in the world. They invented Skype here, yet their capital city has one of the best preserved medieval old towns in all of Europe. Walking through Tallinn feels like time traveling. The old town is surrounded by ancient walls and towers, specifically the Tallinn City Wall, which still has 26 of its original 46 towers standing. You can actually walk along sections of the wall through the tower's gallery. Inside the old town, you'll find Alexander Nevsky Cathedral, this striking Russian Orthodox church with onion domes that dominates the skyline. Right next to it is Toompi Castle, which houses the Estonian parliament. The contrast between the ornate Russian cathedral and the Estonian government building tells the story of this country's complex history. The heart of the old town is Rikuja Platz, or Town Hall Square. The Tallinn Town Hall here dates back to 1404 and is the only surviving Gothic town hall in Northern Europe. The square is surrounded by colorful merchant houses that now contain restaurants and cafes. In winter, this square hosts one of Europe's best Christmas markets. In summer, outdoor cafes fill the space with locals and visitors enjoying the long Nordic days. Down the hill from the old town, you'll find Rotermann Quarter, a completely different vibe. This former industrial area has been transformed into a modern district with glass and steel buildings housing tech startups, design studios, and trendy restaurants. It's this contrast that makes Tallinn so fascinating. You can have breakfast in a 500-year-old building like Old Hensa, which recreates medieval dining experiences complete with candlelight and servers in period costumes, then grab coffee at F. Hoon, a minimalist cafe in a former factory that could be in Tokyo or San Francisco.
For unique experiences, visit the Seaplane Harbour Museum, housed in old seaplane hangars. You can board a genuine submarine from 1936 and explore interactive maritime exhibits. Or check out Teleskivi Creative City, a former factory complex turned into a hipster paradise with street art, vintage shops, and food trucks. Every Saturday, the Balti Term, or Baltic Station Market, comes alive with vendors selling everything from fresh fish to handmade crafts. Here's something most people don't know about Tallinn. It's incredibly affordable. A 3-course meal at nice restaurants like Restaurant G or Retaskivi 16 costs around €25. You can try traditional Estonian dishes like black bread, Baltic herring, and elk stew. For dessert, don't miss kringle, a sweet braided bread, or kohuk, chocolate-covered curd cheese bars that Estonians are obsessed with. You can stay in the old town in boutique hotels like Three Sisters Hotel or Hotel Telegraph for €60 a night. Museum entry fees are minimal, usually €5 to €10. And because Estonia is so digitally connected, everything is easy. You can pay with your phone everywhere, free Wi-Fi blankets the city, and English is widely spoken. But my favorite thing about Tallinn is the locals' attitude. Unlike in major tourist cities where residents are often tired of visitors, Estonians are proud to show off their capital. They want you to discover their craft beers seen at places like Pohjola Brewery Taproom or Coat. They want you to try their Nordic-influenced cuisine at restaurants like Nao or Tchaikovsky. And they want you to understand their fascinating history of singing their way to independence from Soviet rule. The Estonian Song Festival grounds, where 300,000 people gathered in 1988 to sing forbidden songs, is a powerful reminder of peaceful resistance. There's a genuine warmth here that you don't find in cities overwhelmed by mass tourism. Moving south to the Balkans, number 5 is a city that survived war and emerged even more beautiful. Most are in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Bosnia? Is that safe? Absolutely. The war ended almost 30 years ago, and Mostar has rebuilt itself into one of the most captivating cities in Europe. The centerpiece of Mostar is the Stari Most, which means Old Bridge. This stunning stone arch bridge spans the Neretva River, which here flows in the most incredible emerald green color due to minerals in the water. The original bridge was built in 1567 by the Ottoman architect Mimahaj Rudin. It was an engineering marvel of its time, a single arch spanning 98 feet. The bridge was destroyed during the war in 1993. But locals rebuilt it stone by stone between 2000 and 2000 for using traditional Ottoman methods and even recovering original stones from the riverbed. Today, it stands as a symbol of resilience and reconciliation. But the bridge isn't just beautiful to look at. It's the site of a centuries-old tradition. Local divers, members of the Mostari Diving Club, jump from the bridge into the river 80 feet below. They've been doing this since at least 1664. In summer, you can watch these divers perform for crowds, collecting tips before they take the plunge. Every July, the city hosts the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series here, attracting professional divers from around the world. But Mostar is more than just a bridge. The old town, Starigrad, is a maze of Ottoman-era architecture spreading out from both sides of the bridge. On the east bank, you'll find Korski Mempasha Mosque, built in 1618. You can climb the narrow staircase of its minaret for some of the best views of the bridge and city. The mosque's courtyard has a fountain where worshippers perform ablutions, surrounded by gardens that provide peaceful respite from the bustling streets below. Walk through Kujanjilak, the old bazaar street, where coppersmiths still practice their traditional craft. The sound of hammers on copper echoes through the cobblestone lanes. Shops sell handmade Turkish coffee sets, jewelry, car parts, and the famous bridge artwork. Unlike tourist shops in Rome or Paris selling mass-produced souvenirs from China, these are actual artisans creating pieces using techniques passed down through generations. Cross back over the bridge to the west bank, and you'll find a completely different architectural style. Here, Austro-Hungarian buildings from the late 1800s line the streets. The Franciscan Church and Monastery, with its distinctive bell tower, represents the Catholic heritage. This blending of Ottoman Islamic and Austro-Hungarian Christian architecture in such a small area makes Mostar unique. You can literally walk from a mosque to a church to a synagogue within 5 minutes. For a deeper dive into history, visit the Museum of War and Genocide Victims, housed in a building that still bears war scars. It's heavy but important. Or check out the Old Bridge Museum, built into the fortifications of the Helibija and Tara Towers on either end of the bridge, where you can learn about the bridge's construction and reconstruction. Food in Mostar is incredible. Bosnian cuisine blends Turkish, Mediterranean, and Central European influences into something completely unique. You must try javapi, grilled meat sausages served in lepenia bread with raw onions, and achvar, a red pepper spread. Get them at Gevabzinikatema Irma, a local institution. Try berek, flaky pastry filled with meat, cheese, or spinach, best eaten fresh from bakeries in the morning. Sample dolma, stuffed grape leaves or peppers. And don't miss Bosnian coffee, served in a special copper pot called a ezva with sugar cubes and Turkish delight on the side. What makes Mostar truly special is the value. This is probably the most affordable destination on our entire list. A fantastic meal at restaurants like Zadravan or Hinden costs under €10. Nice accommodations at places like Hotel Mepers or Muslebegovic House, a restored Ottoman home, run €30 to €40. You can hire a local guide for the day for around €50. Compare that to what you'd spend in Rome, where a mediocre tourist trap meal near the Colosseum costs €40 alone. Beyond the affordability, there's something deeply moving about visiting Mostar. You can still see bullet holes in some buildings. Locals will share their stories if you're respectful and interested. Many residents remember life before, during, and after the war. You witness firsthand how a city and its people can overcome tragedy and rebuild. It's a powerful reminder that the real value of travel isn't just seeing beautiful places. It's connecting with human stories and different perspectives. Number 4 takes us to Belgium, but we're not going to Brussels or Bruges. We're heading to Ghent, a city that locals call the best-kept secret in Western Europe. Ghent is what Bruges was 20 years ago before it got discovered by every tour bus in Europe. It has all the medieval charm, the canals, the incredible architecture, but with actual Belgian people living there instead of just souvenir shops and tourist restaurants. Let me paint you a picture of Ghent. The city centre is car-free, so you experience everything by foot or bike. The heart of the city is where the Ley and Scheldt rivers meet, creating a network of canals lined with Gothic and Baroque buildings. 3 medieval towers dominate the skyline, so iconic that locals call them the 3 Towers of Ghent. There's the Belfry of Ghent, built in 1373, standing 300 feet tall with a gilded dragon on top that's become the city symbol. You can climb 396 steps to the top for panoramic views. Next is the Tower of St. Bavo's Cathedral, home to one of the most important paintings in art history, the Ghent altarpiece. This 24-panel masterpiece was created by the Van Eyck brothers in 1432. It's been stolen 13 times, including by Napoleon and the Nazis. Unlike the crowds at the Louvre fighting to glimpse the Mona Lisa through a wall of selfie sticks, you can actually stand close to this masterpiece in a climate-controlled viewing room and study its incredible detail. The painting's realism was revolutionary for its time. You can see individual has, detailed landscapes, and expressions that seem impossibly lifelike. The third tower belongs to St. Nicholas Church, a stunning example of Scheldt Gothic architecture with its distinctive blue-grey limestone. Inside, you'll find Baroque chapels and art treasures that would be headline attractions in other cities, but here are just part of the everyday landscape. But the real star of Ghent's skyline is Gravenstein, the castle of the Counts. This genuine stone fortress was built in 1180 by Count Philip of Alsace. Unlike many European castles that are just ruins or have been overly restored, Gravenstein maintains its medieval authenticity. You can walk through the Torture Museum in the basement, seeing genuine medieval devices. You can climb the keep and walk along the battlements, getting unobstructed views of the city. The castle sits right in the middle of Ghent, surrounded by water, looking exactly like what you imagine when you think medieval fortress. Walk along Grassley and Cornley, the facing quays along the canal that were once the city's medieval harbour. The guild houses here date from the 1200s to 1700s. Each building has a unique facade representing different merchant guilds. At sunset, when these buildings are reflected in the still water, it's one of the most photographed spots in Belgium. For a unique experience, take a boat tour through the canals from Grassley. Unlike the overcrowded canal tour in Bruges, Ghents are intimate and uncrowded. The guides share local stories and point out details you'd miss walking. Or rent a kayak and paddle through the city yourself. The canals connect to create this amazing network, and paddling under stone bridges past medieval buildings gives you an adventurer's perspective on the city. What really sets Ghent apart is its food scene. This city has become a foodie destination. Belgium is already known for beer, chocolate, and fries, but Ghent has taken it further. The city has more vegetarian restaurants per capita than almost anywhere in Europe. This started because the city government promotes Donderdag Veggie Day, or Veggie Thursday, encouraging residents to go meatless one day a week. As a result, innovative vegetarian restaurants like Des Appulia and Avalon have flourished. But Ghent hasn't abandoned traditional Belgian cuisine. There are cozy beer cafes like De La Griette, where you can choose from hundreds of Belgian beers. They have this tradition where if you order the house beer, Quack, which comes in a special glass, you have to give them one of your shoes as collateral because the unique glass is so often stolen. Michelin-starred restaurants like Souvenir operate alongside traditional Flemish taverns. And the local specialty, Gents Waterzooi, is this creamy chicken or fish stew that'll warm your soul on a cold day. Get it at restaurants like Amodius or Pakua's, both located in stunning historic buildings. For Belgian chocolate, skip the tourist brands and visit small chocolatiers like Van Holbeek or Yuzu. 4 fries. And yes, they were invented in Belgium, not France. Go to Fritje Joseph, where locals line up for perfectly crispy frites served in a paper cone with mayonnaise or one of 30 other sauce options. Ghent also has a thriving market culture. The Sunday flower market on Couter Square has been operating since 1873. The Friday market, Beach St. Jacobs, is perfect for vintage finds and antiques. And the Groentuinmarkt, or Vegetable Market Square, is surrounded by cafes where you can sit with a Belgian beer and watch the world go by. Walking through Ghent on a Friday evening, you'll see something you rarely see in major tourist cities. Young people hanging out, families having dinner, students grabbing drinks at Overpoort Street, known for its dozens of student bars. Real life happening. Because Ghent is Ghent University, one of the largest universities in the Flemish region, it has this youthful energy that keeps it dynamic and forward-thinking while still respecting its historical roots. The nightlife is genuine, not manufactured for tourists. Music venues like Handel's Beurs, Concert Hall, and Verud Arts Centre host everything from indie, rock to electronic music. The cultural events are for locals first, visitors second. Now we're heading to southern Italy for number 3. And yes, this is technically in Italy like Rome, but trust me, it's nothing like Rome. We're going to Matera in the Basilicata region, one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. Matera is famous for its sassi, which are ancient cave dwellings carved into limestone cliffs. People have lived in these caves for over 9,000 years, making Matera one of the longest continuously inhabited settlements on Earth. The city is divided into two main sassi districts: Sasso Cavioso, the older section, and Sasso Borrasano, which is slightly more recent though still ancient. Walking through Matera feels surreal. The entire city cascades down a ravine called the Gravina Canyon. Houses are built into and on top of each other, creating this vertical maze where someone's roof is someone else's terrace. Churches are carved directly into rock faces. Winding staircases and narrow passages called vicinati connect different levels. Some homes have been inhabited by the same families for generations, continuously modified and expanded, but never abandoned. At night, when everything is lit up, it looks like a nativity scene come to life. In fact, Matera has been used as a filming location for biblical movies, including The Passion of the Christ, because it genuinely looks like ancient Jerusalem. More recently, it was featured in the James Bond film No Time to Die. The city's otherworldly appearance makes it a favorite for filmmakers seeking authentic ancient settings. The heart of Matera is the Piazza Vittorio Veneto, which sits above the Sassi and serves as the gateway between the modern town and ancient quarters. From here, panoramic terraces offer breathtaking views over the Sassi. Descend into the Sassi and you'll discover a labyrinth of dwellings, cisterns, wine cellars, and churches, all carved from rock. Visit Casa Grada di Vicor Solitario, a furnished cave house museum that shows how families lived in the Sassi until the 1950s. You'll see the kitchen, sleeping areas, and even the area where livestock were kept, all within a single cave room. It's humbling to realize that people lived in these conditions until very recently, when the Italian government forcibly relocated residents, deeming the caves unfit for habitation. But the churches are what truly amaze. There are over 150 rock-hewn churches scattered throughout Matera and the surrounding ravine. The Church of San Pietro Borrasano is the largest. Inside, you'll find frescoes dating back to the 12th century and underground chambers used for mummification. Santa Maria do Dris is built into the peak of the Monteroni rock, offering incredible views and Byzantine frescoes. The crypt of the original sin, located outside the main Sassi area, is called the Sistine Chapel of Rupestrian Art, with 9th century frescoes in remarkable condition. Walk across the ravine to Belvedere Viewpoint in the Merger National Park for the most iconic view of Matera. From here, you see the entire city spread before you, cave dwellings stacked impossibly on top of each other, churches carved into cliffs, and the Gravina River cutting through the canyon below. This viewpoint is accessible by car, or you can hike through the canyon, crossing the Tibetan Bridge, a suspension footbridge that spans the ravine. But here's the best part. Many of those cave dwellings have been converted into hotels, restaurants, and museums. You can actually stay in a 5,000-year-old cave that's been modernized with Wi-Fi and comfortable beds. How's that for a unique experience? Hotels like Sextantia Allegro della Civita offer luxury cave accommodations where rooms maintain the historic character while providing modern amenities. Imagine telling people you slept in a cave dwelling older than the pyramids but still had a great shower and comfortable mattress. Hotel Sant'Angelo and La Dimora di Metello offer similar experiences at different price points. Restaurants have embraced the cave setting too. Ristorante Francesca serves traditional Lucanian cuisine in a cave with vaulted ceilings. The atmosphere, dining by candlelight in a space carved from rock thousands of years ago, is unforgettable. Bar Conti offers fine dining with local ingredients in an elegant cave setting. And for something more casual, try Il Conticchio for aperitivo with views over the Sassi. Matera's food scene is incredibly authentic. This is rural southern Italy, so you're getting cucina povera, peasant food elevated to art, fresh pasta made by hand, shapes like orecchiette and cavatelli, local cheeses like Conestrato and Pecorino di Filiano, cured meats including the famous Lucanica sausage. Bread is central to Mataran cuisine. The Pain di Matera has protected geographical indication status.
It's made with durum wheat and baked in wood-fired ovens using ancient techniques. A single loaf can weigh 4 pounds and stay fresh for a week. Try the local specialty, cialetta, a peasant dish of stale bread soaked in water with tomatoes, olive oil, and vegetables. Or pignata, a slow-cooked lamb stew with vegetables and cheese. Pepperoni cruschi, crispy dried peppers, add a crunchy element to many dishes. Wine from nearby vineyards like Aglianico del Vulture has been family-run for generations. And because Matera only recently became popular with tourists after being named European Capital of Culture in 2019, the prices are still reasonable. A full dinner with wine costs around €30. Hotels range from 50 to €150 depending on how fancy of a cave you want to sleep in. What I love about Matera is that it challenges your assumptions about what a city should be. There are no grand boulevards or monumental squares like in Rome. Instead, there's this organic architecture that evolved over millennia. It's a reminder that human civilization created beauty and functionality long before modern urban planning. Walking through Matera connects you to human history in a visceral way that reading about ancient Rome in a guidebook simply cannot match. Number 2 brings us to Eastern Europe and a city with a fascinating and complex story. Lviv, Ukraine. Now, I know current events might make some people hesitant, so let me address that directly. As of now, Lviv is in western Ukraine and has remained relatively stable. Many travelers are specifically choosing to visit to support the Ukrainian people and economy through responsible tourism. That said, always check current travel advisories before booking any trip. Lviv is often called the cultural capital of Ukraine, and once you visit, you'll understand why. This city has been ruled by Poland, Austria-Hungary, and the Soviet Union at different points in history, and each empire left its mark. The result is this incredible architectural melting pot. The heart of the city is Rynek Square, the market square, surrounded by colorful Renaissance and Baroque townhouses. Each building has a unique facade with intricate details. In the center stands the City Hall with its tower offering panoramic views after climbing 408 steps. The Latin Cathedral, built in the 14th century, is a stunning Gothic structure with Baroque additions. The Boehm Chapel next door is a masterpiece of Baroque sculpture. The Armenian Cathedral, dating from 1363, represents the city's historic Armenian community with its unique blend of Armenian and European architectural styles. The Church of the Transfiguration and the Dormition Church add to the religious diversity visible in the architecture.
Walk down Svobody Avenue, the main pedestrian boulevard, lined with beautiful buildings from the Austro-Hungarian period. The Lviv Opera House, completed in 1900, is a neo-Renaissance masterpiece designed by Zygmunt Gergolevsky. Its architecture rivals the famous opera houses of Vienna and Paris. Inside, the grand staircase, ornate ceiling frescoes, and red velvet seating create an opulent atmosphere. Opera and ballet performances here cost a fraction of what you pay in Western Europe, usually between 10 and €30 for excellent seats. But what really defines Lviv is its coffee culture. This city takes coffee seriously. The tradition dates back to the 17th century when the first coffee house in the region opened here. Today, there are dozens of atmospheric cafes, each with its own personality and brewing methods. Svit Kavi, meaning world of coffee, is a legendary spot where each cup is a ceremony. They roast their own beans and train their baristas extensively. Jiga Art Cafe combines coffee with contemporary art exhibitions in a bohemian setting. Then there are the themed cafes that make Lviv famous. Masak Cafe is themed around Leopold von Socher Masak, the Lviv-born writer who gave his name to masochism. The servers playfully insult customers and the decor includes whips and chains, all done humorously. The most expensive Galician restaurant, despite its name, is moderately priced. It requires you to exchange your money for special restaurant courtesy at the door and haggle with servers, all part of the theatrical experience. Kryivka, or Hiding Place, is a Ukrainian insurgent army-themed restaurant hidden behind an unmarked door. You need to give a password to enter, and inside it's decorated like a World War II bunker with memorabilia and servers in period uniforms. Lviv Handmade Chocolate Factory combines a cafe with a chocolate museum. You can watch chocolatiers at work and try dozens of unique flavors. PID Sinoyu Playashku, Under the Blue Bottle, is in a historic apothecary building and serves drinks inspired by old pharmaceutical recipes. There's even a cafe called PID Plevroyu, Under the Rib, that prints chocolate sculptures of customers' faces using a 3D scanner. Coffee here isn't just a drink. It's a cultural institution, a social ritual, a point of pride. Beyond coffee, Lviv has an incredibly vibrant art scene. Street musicians perform classical pieces on every corner, particularly around Rynok Square and Svobody Avenue. The Palace of Arts and the National Museum showcase Ukrainian art from medieval icons to contemporary works. Underground galleries like Jiga and Sheptitsky Center showcase experimental Ukrainian artists pushing boundaries. Jazz clubs like Jiga Jazz Club and Piano host live performances nightly. The avant-garde theatre scene includes companies like Les Kerbers Theatre, known for experimental productions. Indie bookshops like Lviv Literature Cafe combine books with coffee and host author readings and literary discussions. The city has this bohemian energy reminiscent of Prague in the 90s or Berlin in the 2000s. For history enthusiasts, the Lychakiv Cemetery is one of Europe's most beautiful old cemeteries, with elaborate tombstones and sculptures spread across 40 hectares. It's the resting place of notable Poles, Ukrainians, and Armenians. The Museum of Folk Architecture and Rural Life, Shevchenkivsky High, is an open-air museum with authentic village buildings from different regions of Ukraine relocated to the site. The High Castle Hill, though the castle itself is ruins, offers panoramic views and is a favorite spot for sunset. For a darker but important history, visit the Territory of Terror Memorial Museum, documenting both Soviet and Nazi occupations. The Golden Rose Synagogue Memorial marks where Lviv's largest synagogue stood before being destroyed by Nazis. These sites remind visitors of the city's complex and often painful past. What strikes most visitors about Lviv is the resilience and spirit of its people. Despite everything Ukraine has endured, Lvivians are warm, hospitable, and eager to share their culture. Cafes and restaurants are full. Cultural events continue. Street life thrives. They want the world to know that Ukraine is more than conflict headlines. It's a nation with rich traditions, incredible creativity, and a determination to preserve its identity. Visiting Lviv isn't just tourism. It's an act of cultural exchange and solidarity. The food scene deserves special mention. Ukrainian cuisine is hearty and flavorful. Try borscht, the famous beet soup, but know that Lviv's version is different from Kiev's. Sample vareniki, dumplings filled with potato, cheese, meat, or fruit. Solo, cured pork fat often served with bread and garlic, is an acquired taste, but central to Ukrainian cuisine. Banosh, a Carpathian dish of cornmeal with cheese and cream, is comfort food perfection. Restaurants like Gasova Lampa, Amodius, and Kumpel Brasserie offer excellent traditional meals in historic settings. Accommodations in Lviv are remarkably affordable. The vintage boutique hotels in the Old Town cost 50 to 80 euros. Modern hotels run 60 to 100 euros. Even luxury options like Nobilis Hotel or Grand Hotel rarely exceed 150 euros. That's less than a budget hotel near the Eiffel Tower.
And finally, number 1 on our list, the hidden European city that I believe is better than Paris or Rome in almost every way. We're going to Riga, Latvia. Riga is the Art Nouveau capital of the world. Over 40% of the buildings in the city center are Art Nouveau style, which means ornate facades, decorative sculptures, flowing organic forms, and elaborate details everywhere you look. It's like walking through an open-air museum of early 20th century architecture. The Art Nouveau district is centered around Alberta Street, designed by architect Michael Eisenstein. The buildings here feature fantastical faces, floral motifs, twisting forms, and symbolic sculptures. Number 2 Alberta Street is particularly stunning with its blue and white facade and screaming masks. Number 4 has sphinx and mythological figures. Number 8 has elaborate peacock designs. Walk slowly and look up because every building offers new details. The Riga Art Nouveau Museum, located in an authentic Art Nouveau apartment, shows how wealthy families lived during this period with original furniture and decor. But Riga is so much more than pretty buildings. The old town, Vikerga, is a maze of medieval streets. The House of Blackheads is a stunning 14th century building originally used by a guild of unmarried merchants. It was destroyed in World War II and meticulously reconstructed in the 90s using old photographs and plans. The facade is incredibly ornate with clocks, astronomical symbols, and statues of Neptune and Mercury. Riga Cathedral, founded in 1211, is the largest medieval church in the Baltic states. Its organ, built in 1884, has 6,768 pipes and is one of the largest in Europe. Free organ concerts are held regularly and the acoustics are phenomenal. St. Peter's Church, with its distinctive spire, offers an observation deck at 72 meters with elevator access. The views encompass the entire old town, the Daugava River, and modern Riga beyond. The Three Brothers are 3 houses representing different periods of medieval architecture, standing side by side on Mazepil Street. The white one dates from the 15th century, making it the oldest stone building in Riga. The Swedish Gate, built in 1698, is the only remaining gate from the old city wall. Walking through the narrow streets, you'll discover countless merchant houses, medieval warehouses, and hidden courtyards that reveal layers of history.
The Riga Central Market, housed in old German Zeppelin hangars from World War I, is one of Europe's largest markets. 5 enormous hangars each specialize in different goods. The Meat Pavilion, Fish Pavilion, Vegetable Pavilion, Dairy Pavilion, and Gastronomy Pavilion together create this incredible food experience. You can buy everything from fresh Baltic herring to homemade honey to smoked eel to traditional Latvian rye bread. Local grandmothers sell pickled vegetables and forest mushrooms they forage themselves. The energy here is incredible, with locals haggling, vendors calling out, and the smell of smoked fish mixing with fresh bread. It's authentic Latvian life happening in real time. Just outside the old town, you'll find the Freedom Monument, standing 140 feet tall. It was erected in 1935 to honor soldiers killed during the Latvian War of Independence. The monument depicts liberty holding 3 stars representing Latvia's 3 regions. Despite Soviet occupation, this monument survived and became a symbol of Latvian resistance and independence. Today, locals lay flowers at its base, and there's a ceremonial changing of the guard that happens hourly. For a sobering but important experience, visit the Museum of the Occupation of Latvia, which documents both Soviet and Nazi occupations. The KGB building, now a museum called the Corner House, shows where the secret police interrogated and tortured prisoners. These museums provide crucial context for understanding Latvia's journey to independence and why freedom means so much to people here. But Riga isn't stuck in the past. The city has embraced modernity while respecting history. Cross the Daugava River to find Kipsala Island with its wooden houses and modern developments. The National Library of Latvia, called the Castle of Light, is a stunning modern glass building that's become an architectural landmark. Inside, you can access millions of books and climb to the observation deck for river views. The Spikery Quarter, former warehouses along the river, has been transformed into a creative hub with art galleries, design studios, and restaurants. Andre Sola is another former industrial area turned creative district with venues like Canapes Culture Centre hosting concerts, exhibitions, and festivals. The city has this energy of reinvention, of young Latvians reclaiming and reimagining their capital. What makes Riga number one for me is the perfect balance it strikes. It's big enough to have great restaurants, nightlife, and cultural offerings, but small enough that you can walk everywhere. The old town is compact enough to explore in a day, but dense enough with attractions to keep you busy for a week. It's beautiful enough to satisfy any architecture lover, but authentic enough that locals outnumber tourists. It's affordable enough that your money goes far, but developed enough that you have all modern conveniences. Let's talk about food because Riga's culinary scene is fantastic. Latvian cuisine reflects the country's geography and climate. Rye bread is sacred here. Dark, dense, slightly sweet, it accompanies every meal. Try rupchmais, the traditional dark rye bread, at places like Lido or Faux Club's Ala Pagrabs. Grey peas with bacon, known as peliki zerti, is a traditional dish that's simple but delicious. Smoked fish, especially eel and sprats, are Baltic specialties. Sample them at the Central Market or restaurants like Ribs and Rock or Three Pavoru restaurants. For something heartier, try sklandrausas, a sweet pie made with rye dough and filled with potato and carrot mash, or yanisses, a special cheese made for midsummer celebrations but available year-round. In winter, warm up with a bowl of grey pea soup or blood sausage with sauerkraut. Restaurants like Volters and Bean offer modern takes on traditional Latvian cuisine in a cozy setting. Fama specializes in locally sourced ingredients prepared simply to highlight their quality. But Riga also has incredible international food. The city's restaurant scene has exploded in recent years. Vincent's, run by Latvia's most famous chef Martins Ritens, is a Michelin-quality fine dining experience. Colonnade offers rooftop dining with views over the old town. For something casual, check out Street Food for gourmet burgers, or eat Riga for international street food in a trendy setting. The bar and nightlife scene is surprisingly vibrant. Riga Black Magic Bar, named after the famous Riga Black Balsam herbal liqueur, serves creative cocktails in a Gothic cellar setting. You must try Black Balsam, a traditional Latvian liqueur made from 24 different plants, herbs, roots, and berries. It's strong and medicinal tasting, often mixed with coffee or blackcurrant juice. Faux Club's Ala Pagrabs is a massive underground bar and restaurant with live folk music, traditional food, and dozens of local beers. The atmosphere, especially on weekends when musicians play, is unforgettable. For craft beer enthusiasts, Riga has embraced the craft beer movement. Lobiatis Brewery Taproom, Michela Riga, and Aliceta offer excellent local and international craft beers. Latvian brewers are producing some fantastic ales, lagers, and experimental brews using local ingredients like berries and herbs. A nice meal in Riga costs around €20 per person. You can find excellent lunches for €10. A hotel in the old town, like Nyberg's Hotel or Grand Palace Hotel, runs about €70 per night. Budget options like Welton Hotels or Dome Hotel are available for €40 to €50. Museum tickets are €5 to €10. Even opera tickets rarely exceed €30 for good seats. Your money simply goes much further here than in Western European capitals. Riga also has this unexpected coolness factor. The city has a thriving creative scene. Independent designers are opening boutiques in the Old Town and Art Nouveau district. Contemporary art galleries like Kim, Muxla Exo, and Riga's Muxlas Telpa showcase Latvian and international artists. Craft cocktail bars, experimental restaurants, and design hotels are popping up everywhere. Young Latvians who studied abroad in London, Berlin, or Copenhagen are returning and bringing international influences while respecting local traditions. There's this sense of a city on the rise, a place discovering its identity and potential after decades of Soviet occupation. The cultural calendar is packed. Riga hosts the Latvian Song and Dance Festival every 5 years, where 30,000 performers and hundreds of thousands of spectators celebrate Latvian culture through song. The tradition dates back to 1873 and is a UNESCO masterpiece of intangible heritage. Even in non-festival years, Riga has the Midsummer Festival in June, when the entire city celebrates the longest day with flower crowns, songs, and jumping over bonfires. The Riga City Festival in August features concerts, parades, and fireworks. The Christmas market transforms the old town into a winter wonderland with wooden stalls, mulled wine, and the tallest Christmas tree in Europe. And here's something that surprised me about Riga: the nature. Latvia is one of the most forested countries in Europe, with over 50% forest coverage. Within 30 minutes of the city centre, you can be hiking through pristine forests at Mesa Parks, Riga's largest park with walking trails, lakes, and the open-air museum. Or relaxing by peaceful lakes like Lake Jugla, popular for swimming and picnicking in summer. Just a short drive or train ride away is Jurmala, a beach resort town with white sand beaches stretching for 20 miles along the Baltic Sea. The town is famous for its wooden Art Nouveau villas and spa culture. In summer, locals and visitors flock here for beach days. In winter, the empty beaches have a melancholic beauty. You can walk for miles seeing only seabirds and hear nothing but waves. The beach is backed by pine forests that fill the air with that distinctive Baltic scent of salt water and pine needles. This connection to nature gives Riga a quality of life that cramped, concrete-heavy cities can't match. Locals regularly bike, using the city's excellent network of bike lanes. They hike in nearby forests on weekends. In autumn, mushroom and berry foraging is a national pastime. Families head into the forest to pick mushrooms like chanterelles and boletes, and berries like lingam berries and cranberries. This isn't a novelty. It's a living connection to the land that urban Parisians or Romans simply don't have. The practicalities of visiting Riga are simple. Riga International Airport is well connected to European cities, with budget airlines like Ryanair and Air Baltic offering cheap flights. From the airport, a bus to the city centre costs €2 and takes 30 minutes. The city itself is compact and walkable. Public transport, if you need it, is efficient and cheap, about $1.50 per ride. Most people speak English, especially younger generations. The city is safe, clean, and easy to navigate. Latvia uses the euro, so no currency exchange hassles if you're coming from other Eurozone countries. Credit cards are accepted everywhere, and Latvia's digital infrastructure is excellent. Free Wi-Fi is available in most cafes, restaurants, and public spaces. The city has embraced technology while maintaining its historic character. So there you have it. 7 hidden European cities that offer everything Paris and Rome do, minus the crowds, the tourist traps, and the inflated prices. From the fairy tale streets of Seski Krumlov, where you can raft down the Vltava River past medieval castles, to the medieval digital fusion of Tallinn, where you can climb ancient towers and then grab coffee at a minimalist startup cafe. From the Ottoman Bridge and Bosnian coffee culture of Mostar to the guild houses and vegetarian restaurants of Ghent. From the ancient cave dwellings of Matera, where you sleep in homes older than pyramids, to the coffee ceremonies and resilient spirit of Lviv. And finally to the Art Nouveau splendor and Baltic beaches of Riga, these destinations prove that the best travel experiences often happen off the beaten path. But here's my challenge to you. Don't just watch this video and forget about it. Pick one of these cities. Do some research. Look up flights. Read travel blogs. Check Instagram hashtags to see real photos from real travelers. Start planning a trip. The biggest mistake travelers make is sticking to the same famous destinations everyone visits because it feels safe and easy. But the most memorable travel experiences, the ones that actually change your perspective and create lasting memories, happen when you step outside your comfort zone and explore places that aren't on every Instagram feed. These 7 cities represent something important. They're proof that Europe still has secrets to discover, that authentic culture still exists outside the tourist corridors, that you can have incredible experiences without spending a fortune or fighting through crowds of selfie-taking tourists, and that sometimes the best destinations are the ones nobody told you about.
Think about it this way. When you visit Paris, You're having the same experience as millions of other people. You're seeing the same landmarks, eating at the same recommended restaurants, taking the same photos. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's also nothing unique about it. When you visit one of these hidden cities, you're having an experience that most people never will. You're discovering something for yourself. You're creating stories that your friends haven't heard 1,000 times. You're supporting local communities that genuinely appreciate visitors instead of being exhausted by them. And here's the beautiful thing. These cities won't stay hidden forever. Český Krumlov is already getting discovered by more travelers. Tallinn is appearing in more travel guides. Matera was European capital of culture and gained recognition. But right now, in this moment, you have the opportunity to visit these places before they become the next Prague or Barcelona, overwhelmed by tourists and losing their authentic character. You have the chance to be the traveler who discovered something special, not the tourist following the crowds. So whether you choose the Art Nouveau streets of Riga, the cave dwellings of Matera, the bridge divers of Mostar, the guild houses of Ghent, the coffee culture of Lviv, the medieval towers of Tallinn, or the fairy tale castle of Český Krumlov, you're choosing adventure, you're choosing authenticity, you're choosing to see Europe the way it really is, not the theme park version designed for mass tourism. Thank you so much for watching this journey through Europe's hidden gems. If this video inspired you to explore beyond Paris and Rome, let me know in the comments which city you want to visit first and why. Have you been to any of these places? Share your experiences. Do you know other hidden European cities that deserve recognition? Tell us about them. The travel community thrives when we share discoveries and inspire each other to explore more deeply and thoughtfully. And remember, the world is so much bigger and more interesting than the guidebooks tell you. The most beautiful places aren't always the most famous ones. The best meals aren't always at Michelin-starred restaurants. The most meaningful conversations don't always happen at 5-star hotels. Sometimes the magic of travel happens in a small cafe in Lviv where a local tells you about their city's history, or on a bridge in Mostar watching divers plunge into emerald water, or in a cave hotel in Matera where you realize humans have been creating homes and communities for thousands of years in the most unexpected places. Travel is about opening your mind, challenging your assumptions, and connecting with different ways of life. These 7 cities offer all of that and more. They offer beauty without pretension, history without crowds, and experiences without breaking the bank.
They offer the chance to be a traveler instead of a tourist, to discover instead of just see, to connect instead of just photograph. So close this video, open a new browser tab, and start planning. Your next great adventure isn't in Paris or Rome. It's in a place you've never heard of, waiting to be discovered. Safe travels, and remember, the journey is just as important as the destination. Thank you for watching.